Make sure you hit record. All right. These fantasy breakouts will win your season. That and more this week out in space with Jason Gregory. Point in time, not a whole lot to report on my side. Just kind of settling into life. Nothing too crazy going on. I feel like there's something going on with the league. Maybe it's the appropriate time to say happy Halloween. And on that note, happy early birthday, Jay. Tomorrow is the big 36, right? Are you turning 36? Are we all turning 36?
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. Yeah, the big 36. We'll see if it's anything special. I thought 35 sounded special. Now we got to find some meaning for 36, you know?
Yeah. And for those of you who prefer base 10 counting systems, it is 36. But for people like me who prefer base 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, decal 10, 36 translates to 30. So in base 12, 36 is a new 30, Jay. So do you have anything big planned for your 30th?
I better start. Better do like a bar crawl or something to rival the, some of the 21st birthday antics or something. Maybe I'll see if I can get like a third of the way through this time, and
that third of the way through sounds pretty aggressive to me these days. I think that I would be dead long before that if I were to attempt one of those things right now. Places, Jay. I've got down here in my notes, Thousand Oaks, Simi Valley, not similar valley, Simi Valley. Thousand Oaks, what does that mean to you today, Jay?
Thousand Oaks, first thing that comes to mind is home. Love it here. Been growing up here since I was 5 years old. A lot of really good lifelong friends here that I still hang out with routinely. So Thousand Oaks is home, baby.
All right. And what about that pre-5? Am I missing anything in the early chapters of Jay? You said you've been here since the age of 5.
So actually, I was born in the San Fernando Valley, and in the 1993 earthquake, we were living in Northridge, like right at the epicenter of that earthquake.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, so our house got like completely destroyed. I think it was like the first house that my dad ever bought. His first home or whatever. But yeah, kind of went up like condo to condo or apartment to apartment for a couple years until we settled down in Thousand Oaks after that, pretty much. So
holy smokes, I didn't know that. I have a family friend that was born in the Bay Area, and there was some other big earthquake in '89 that hit them, and they had kind of like a similar story where they were kind of nomads for a few years. So
it was in the series.
I'm sorry.
The earthquake happened during the World Series that year.
Oh, was it? So,
yeah.
So pretty timely for what we've got going on right now. Maybe we take a slight divergence into that. I know you mentioned you had somewhere to go at 5, trying to sneak in with all that Dodgers gear that you have to hop off to the World Series. So if that's not the one thing going on at 5, Jay. Tell me what's going on in the World Series.
Just a light game 3 World Series. That's all.
Yeah. All right. Give me some context as somebody who has zero background in baseball. And the only thing that I know about baseball right now is that the Mariners got bounced in the last round by the Jays. So give us some high level overview of what's going on with baseball right now, Jason, as a somebody who bleeds Dodger blue.
Prior to these last couple of years, we were seeing like a lot of since 2000, we've basically seen parity in baseball, kind of similar to, I wouldn't say the NFL right now, but very unique in terms of sports. And that is kind of not coming to an end, but and I'm very fortunate and lucky to be on the right side of this team's fanhood, because my first 30 years of this was not very fun, but it's really turned up lately. But it really just kind of seems like there's kind of a divide in baseball. There's the traditional run your baseball organization, the way it's always been done. And then there's the teams that are changing. And I would say there's probably like 8 to 12 teams that are really like embracing some of the new, like new data out there, some of the new things that good teams have placed importance on versus some of the past things. Like power and velocity over like contact and kind of just situational hitting and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of teams that have embraced the analytics and have embraced building your farm system up and then kind of adding top level talent off the free agent wire instead of kind of that middle of the road talent. Teams have really separated themselves. So you got like the Dodgers, you have the Padres are definitely up there. You got the Braves, you got the Phillies. The Blue Jays certainly are doing things the right way. The Tampa Bay Rays always do things the right way. So there's teams like that. And then there's teams like, it's a good example.
Pittsburgh?
I don't know that much about Pittsburgh, like how they run. I would say Arizona Diamondbacks. That's a good example. They run their team very traditional. They have a owner who's very wealthy and kind of pushes his agenda onto the team, which is something I could say very lucky the new Dodger owners, or not new Dodger owners, but our current owners don't do that very much. So I don't know. I think we'll see a little bit of this. We're kind of leaving that era of like where a small team can kind of surprise and win 90 games in 1 year. So it's kind of a fun time in baseball to be one of those top teams. But we have to,
And so this is this the first year or the second year that the shot clock is in place, right? Didn't they implement like a shot clock for the pitchers? Is it the first playoff series that has had that, or is that last year?
I believe it started last year.
Okay.
But yeah, that's actually really, I think, helped bring a lot of the casual fans back into baseball, because I think just some of the delays over, like pitchers just taking a long time to deliver the ball and stuff is, it just makes the game hard to watch. I was kind of against it actually at first too, but now I've kind of seen the positive effect it has as a whole on the game, so kind of changed my mind a little bit. But yeah, there's a lot of changes. 2027, there's going to probably be a strike because the owners want to put in basically like a salary cap because they don't want to have to spend as much money to compete with teams like the Dodgers. But hopefully we'll not see that and we'll have some fun baseball.
Either way, it sounds exciting, Jay. Thanks for giving me the breakdown. I have heard, the extent of my baseball knowledge is that I saw like Jonah Hill and then like somebody else, some big actors doing like a movie, and it kind of sounds a little bit what you're talking about, like where they bring in the analytics guy and like he's just kind of changed the game, and so it sounds like that's like a topical thing that people are picking up on right now. So it looked interesting. I did want to go back to Simi Valley because that's the other thing I have in my notes. Are there any other places besides Simi Valley, Jay, that we should know about in your life?
Sorry, that I know about, or
should we know about
in
your life that are important? I know you had the Oceanside Beach House, that we've all probably dipped our toes in at one time or another. I think again most of us have probably been to your place in Simi at one point or another. But are there any, and then we all know about Cat Town. Any other places on the map that mean anything to you, Jay?
Well, kind of before Oceanside, it was really Carlsbad that I kind of had.
Right.
Not that it's like that far away from each other, but like when I was little, and I think before I was born, my parents used to go down there like once a year and like stay a weekend. And so they started doing that when I was like, a baby, and would go down there for a weekend or a week and kind of just get like a little motel near Carlsbad Village Drive. And there'd be some times where some buddies that I grew up with would like come with me, and we would like spend a whole week down there during the summer. So that was really like how my parents even kind of had that connection to Carlsbad, Oceanside. And then, after knowing all you guys, we were down there a lot more. So.
Yeah. So you were an early adopter of Ceci's then? You're a fan of the soft serve at Ceci's?
I'm actually not too familiar with that.
Okay, it's on Cornwall Village Drive and Coast Highway.
Oh, the Mexican one, or is that?
I think that's a Mexican food. Anyways, I always knew him for the soft serve. Anyways, not to get too deep down that, but yeah, the Carlsbad was a good thing to hit. Going back to the draft, Jay, I think that you and Springfield probably brought the most balanced approach to it. We have our kind of heroes and zeros people, and then I think Tom and I both went the like conservative, try to let value drop to us. With Tom took the variant of grabbing the stud QB and tight end. But with you and Spring going that draft balanced approach, was that your goal going into the draft, or did it just fall that way for you?
So I kind of wanted to be a little bit more fluid this year and not get it in my head that I'm gonna just get one of these top players and then kind of move on. But that kind of led to me, really targeting like 6 or 7 core players. And it definitely ended up working out that my team is kind of top heavy right now, but my goal was to have a very deep wide receiver core, like 4 or 5 deep of, at least like back end wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3s. Just didn't work out that way. And I kind of had a couple of little pivots where if some of the running back or wide receivers that I didn't like were going for too much and the prices weren't deflating a little bit, I was going to, try and scoop up one of like a handful of elite running backs that I felt like the price was worth it. So I had in that range, I was looking at Josh Jacobs, Jonathan Taylor, and I think it was Chase Brown.
And you picked right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
We know Jason.
It seems to be pretty well, 15 touchdowns or whatever, but yeah. But yeah, so then once I kind of did that, I was really going into that fill in RB2 or the back end of my wide receivers, kind of just like best player available or best value. And I was looking at Ricky Pearsall a lot. He kind of got pushed up a little too high, and I got, got a little gun shy. But then I think it was Jaylen Warren that kind of went up there and was one of my targets as like an RB3. Because like I said, I was trying to get like 6 or 7 startable guys, 2 really solid RBs, and then either like 4 or 5 good running backs or 3 good running backs and like 4 good wide receivers. It's a lot to ask for when you're, going into a draft, but I was definitely planning to just go. I was down to just go $2 total on tight end and quarterback. And I think I got Herbert for 2 and, Juwan off the wire, and then made that trade with you. So it worked out okay.
Yeah, no, I think it did. I think that I'm not sure if I voted for you, but I think that you had a very similar approach to Spring, and I think I like the way that you guys kind of mimicked as if it were a snake draft where you're grabbing value from each one of those tiers. I definitely shipped, the top tier or 2 maybe, and kind of like, sat at that 3-4 and just gobbled up all the guys that I like there. And so again, the injuries gods have been with their voracious appetite this year. And I think that that's probably been the biggest indicator on success so far across the league. But again, I like the way that I think you and Tripp were like the traditionalist. And I think that there's a reason why you got strong squads. Again, Tripp got bit by the injury bug a bit and has had some unlucky losses. So really, really weird. 2 instances where Yahoo didn't even know how to report correctly on it, which I don't think I've witnessed in the entire time the league's going on, and he's had 2 this season. And that kind of is a good transition to the division. You've got Springfield in there, you've got Luke, we've got the commissioner bringing up the rear. Maybe it's not, there's not really a top or a bottom to your division right now. You guys are all 4-3 or 3-4. It's another one of those divisions where it's really hard to say who's got the lead right now. I think on paper, with JT just doing special things and your heavy investment into that Indy offense led by Shane Steichen, you've got my vote. Not only does your record say that, and with a little bit of luck, from the Kansas City Gods tonight, you'll get a dub. But how do you see your division shaking out? Do you feel like there's anybody who's definitely got that top spot locked up? And vice versa, do you feel like there's any teams you're looking forward to playing down the road?
Definitely not looking forward to playing anybody.
Yeah.
All these teams look pretty solid. I have to give a big shout out to Luke. He's been bringing it this year. So definitely got to give him credit for being locked in. And it looks like everyone in our division has basically gone through a good chunk of their waiver budget. So very active on the wire. I know. I think everyone's made a trade. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of see it different. I feel like my team's sort of being carried by a few guys, and I'm kind of losing those supporting pieces that I thought would start to that would be good guys to hold on to for the long season. But we'll see. I think Brian Thomas Jr. and Ladd are good enough, to head that wide receiver core if the running backs can keep this up. But I think spring probably gives me, in terms of like his roster, the most scares, but I think both Luke and Graham could easily come up here and win this division.
Yeah, Spring's got the point total right now. I don't know if he will after this week, but yeah, I would tend to agree. Before this week, when I wrote the show sheet, I would say so, but as of now, I would probably put you there. So let's take a step forward into our trade. I tossed Vanilla Vic and the recently acquired Warren over to you for Herbert and Juwan, or as he's known now as Couch Change. How do you feel about that trade looking back on it now, Jay?
It was a tough one to make because obviously Herbert and everything, and just wanting to see if this is that year he takes the leap to like a Josh Allen status or something like that, which definitely is in the cards, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, Warren was one of the guys that I was contemplating like breaking my strategy for and going up if he went for low enough and trying to grab him. So and then seeing him get traded around, I kind of thought that first trade where he was involved, I didn't think he was being valued like he was going to be like a top like 1 or 2 tight end. And I kind of see his runway to tight end 1 and as pretty easy from here on in. So I was, happy to be a part of a trade like that. Did I want to give up Herbert? Definitely not. But Noah Vic or Indiana Jones, he's doing his thing and seems pretty sustainable now. Like I'm kind of a believer now. It looks like I heard the rumblings that they're trying to extend him too because they might be thinking the same thing. So
yeah, no, I had in my mind, it was kind of like a 60-40 trade your way, and I was willing to take that risk because I had Kittle sitting on the bench coming in for Juwan. But if we just go through that trade that you're talking about, I shipped Kraft and Worthy for Warren, right? And before I ever got a start out of Warren, I shipped him to you, right, with Warren and Indiana Jones for Herbie and Juwan, right? And I was very skeptical about Juwan being a long-term prospect, but Herbie, same thing. Just the chances of him making that meteoric rise was the catnip enough for me to take that trade. But if you look at the broad spectrum of trading Kraft, Worthy, and Daniel Jones, right, for Juwan and Herbie, right, probably not the best trade series there, but I would say that at the time, I had some skepticism about the long-term prospects of the Indiana offense the Colts offense as a whole. But you've got your super stack. You've got the quarterback, you've got the running back, and you've got Mr. Tyler Warren's, rookie superstar. And I think it's going to work. And after they trounced the Chargers last week, I don't think that there's any doubt left that you've got a good, solid core left. And I love it. I love seeing the super stacks. Sam firing up for those few weeks the Gibbs Monty Sonic and Knuckles thing. I think that your Indy super stacks is going to take you far. So again, Herbie outscored Daniel Jones by 2 points this week, so probably not making a difference in my roster. But at the same time, again, I'm generally down to take swings early on the season, and I was happy to dance with you on that one. We touched on JT a little bit already, and I know you mentioned Ladd. Off to a slow start, but look like he's picking up steam. Is he somebody you're going to be looking to shop, or are you just going to be enjoying his return to that wide receiver 2, wide receiver 1 status that you probably were hoping for on draft day?
I think, even after the first couple weeks of him being slow, I'm pretty confident, like just in his ability. Like he gets open better than most receivers in the league. So really the only thing I've been worried about is like that average depth of target, like him not getting the deep stuff maybe. But if he's getting volume, like 8 to 10 targets a week or something, I think he's got pretty good upside, and he can end up like a back end wide receiver 1, I think, but still a little scary. I don't think I would be shopping him unless somebody was like, was a real believer also and like was trying to buy low or something.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on him. I think that you were able to ride the rough waters early with him, and I don't think anybody's going to be coming over the top, especially with the breakout of Gadsden now. But I do think he's got that upside there, and especially as Herbie is going to settle into kind of his core guys. It looks like Keenan's on the outs. But we'll see. It was a short week. He's an old man. Maybe he's only going to get limited reps because the old dog just doesn't have the juice in him to do that kind of turnaround anymore. So we've got this mini bye coming up. We'll see what we do against Tennessee next week. Speaking of frisky situations, how do we feel about Travis Hunter going into his bye this week? He had that blow up game, finally got all the targets, got all the yards, got his touchdown. Are we buying the Travis Hunter breakout coming out of the bye?
Well, to be honest, I have not dug too deep into that breakout game to see where those were coming. But he's definitely somebody that like the only worry is that he's just going to get like the underneath work and stuff when he's playing offense. And then if the volume isn't there, that that's not going to be that valuable. But if he does like going over it, friggin' 14 targets, if he's getting that, I think we're going to be cooking. So, I don't really know how to view him like going forward. I think that those first month and a half of games was just kind of him and the team like figuring out how to use him a lot. But he's definitely a talented guy. So we'll see if they start using him like they did last game.
Yeah,
that'll be pretty nice boon for Graham's fantasy team.
Yeah, so he had 8 receptions on 14 targets for 101 yards and a touchdown. So I think the take I'm looking at right now is cut Hunter a little too early, and that this was the perfect encapsulation of having patience in fantasy, especially when it comes to that rookie breakout for the wide receivers. We tend to see running backs get in early. Wide receivers tend to be second half of the year kind of guys. But also you can't fault Griff too much on cutting ties, because again, the buys are gone, injuries are gone, and you kind of got to be decisive in how you do things. So all that decisive nature, how do we feel about our rookie running backs? Again, as of writing this, Trevion Henderson and RJ Harvey were huge question marks. I know personally, having just acquired Trevion in the last second trade to try to get my roster right for the Tom matchup, he had 10 carries, 77 yards, and a fumble late. But I think that was an increase in his usage. And if I'm not mistaken, RJ Harvey against Dallas's shitty defense scored 3 times. So going into this week, New England kind of looked like Ramondre was the guy, the power runner, after Vrabel's heart, right? And then RJ Harvey looked like he was just another guy in a Sean Payton backfield. So now with these guys kind of getting some more work and RJ getting real familiar with the end zone, is it wheels up on these guys?
It looks that way. I feel really good about RJ because I kind of saw Dobbins as one of the reasons the team wanted him was to really like establish the run. Next to Bo Nix and not having to lean on a rookie right away to do that. But once you kind of get that breakout out of the way, I think the coaching staff just like feels confident probably putting him in a lot of those same situations, especially like goal line now. So I don't know. I think Dobbins might be losing a little value this week. I'm still like, I don't really trust the Patriots personally. So I'm a little less, I don't believe that one as much. And that one was also just on 10 carries and just like really good efficiency there with 7.5 yards a carry. So we'll see. I think it's still out a little bit on Trevion, but I think RJ has the runway cleared for him to continue breaking out. Maybe not 3 touchdowns, but I could definitely see like solid starting RB2 numbers at least.
I kind of see Trevion and Ramondre kind of more like Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. It kind of seems like they're going to be that frustrating duo where even if Trevion does break out, that Vrabel's been known to just have those two guys and not necessarily starting the right one, right? Not giving all that work to Henry back in the day. And then, Sean Payton does tend to like rotating his backs, but I think that narrative that you're saying where the rookie coming up to speed while the old guy, carries that steady pace early on, fits a little bit better. It still doesn't feel like we know what either team are going to be this year. So even if they do establish themselves, I would say Denver probably has the better offense at this point, and also the better defense to kind of buttress that run game. But I think we still have a lot of variance and a lot of stuff to figure out about these guys. Another point of variance, I've been bringing up real life NFL trades and how that's going to affect our fantasy landscape. The trade deadline is coming up here in the NFL in a few short days. I believe we're maybe 10 days off if I don't have that math wrong. I think it's November 5th if I'm not wrong. So we've got the Saints as sellers. Alvin Kamara said, that he's going to, die a Saint. Chris Olave, maybe Rashid Shaheed, Breece Hall, Jacoby Myers. Miami, again, at the time of this writing, has been a top story about getting Mike McDaniel, chopped and then, selling and restarting that team. But after taking down Atlanta, maybe all of that talk goes out the window and he bought himself another few games over the rest of the year. Any of those names jump out to you? Have you heard any strong rumors? Or does that even factor into your analysis when it comes to making trades or making moves in fantasy?
I think I'll make a move off of it, but I don't think I would make a trade just like this guy's for sure going to get traded. So, here are the 3 or 4 situations he'd be in if he did get traded probably. And are those better? I don't know if that's a little too risky because he could just get traded somewhere where he's like the 3rd receiver or something. I think Jacoby Myers and Breece Hall seem to be the 2 that I've heard have the most steam. I think after this game by Breece Hall, the Jets would be pretty smart to try to maximize what they could get for him, considering the state of their franchise and everything right now. But I don't know. I mean, it's a running back. So if you're getting a return that's like a star running back return for him, then maybe it's worth it. But if you're getting like, a 4th rounder or something, it's not probably moving the needle enough to do it. But I think Myers, though, could easily I've heard like Commanders, I've heard Seahawks, I've heard not Miami, New England. So
maybe even Buffalo.
Buffalo would be sick. Give them like 3 or 4 good receiving options there. We'll see. I think he's definitely going to definitely going to get traded though. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just feel like they have a lot of wide receivers they've drafted recently, and they probably want to see what those guys can do. So we'll see.
And it's looking like they're not going to be making a move this year, right? So might as well start trading pieces and, just go full rebuild and lean into year 2 with the new administration there. And as just kind of a retrospect, last year, answering the same question, it was really only D-Hop and Amari Cooper that made any type of, those are the big names of last year's trade cycle, right? And, D-Hop had some spot start, potential at Kansas City, but really didn't really do much, right? And same thing with Amari Cooper. I think he just got injured and just didn't do anything in Buffalo. So at the end of the day, it's not the NBA, like we're not having these big mega contracts and everybody's moving around and Luka's changing teams, NFL is kind of the exact opposite of that, right? That it's more of these ancillary guys that get moved around and not exactly something that, the smart people, GMs are chasing, but boy, oh boy, does that catnip smell good to me. And I will probably be sending off Jacoby Myers' offer after we get off this podcast.
Yeah.
Speaking of bad transitions, I've been thinking a lot about format changes in our league. I was talking just a little bit with Kamish about like reimagining if we were to just flush everything we knew about fantasy and just like instantiate the rules as fantasy stands today. As like a fun thought exercise, but it looks like we're probably going to be dropping defense in favor of a flex here. We did make our bench one spot more shallow. There are definitely leagues that have even less bench spots than what we have. And then I would say, 5 years ago or thereabouts, we made a transition from standard scoring to half point PPR. And I think that we were behind the curve on what would be considered standard, right? Like half point PPR. And I think, again, I could be wrong, but as of today, Superflex would be the standard format if you looked at like the most people, the most leagues. So when it comes to doing format changes, is there anything that you have a hard on for, Jay? Or are you somebody who's just going to wait to see what we put up to vote and just cast your vote when the time comes?
I'm a big fan of like turning the defense into a flex.
Okay.
Then if we were to keep the benches at 6, that would basically deepen the player pool by 12. And then I feel like that's pretty reasonable. Whereas if we were to like expand it to 7 bench spots while adding a flex, that might give you more options for a player, but then you have to go, another 12 players deep until you see what's at the top of the waiver wire. But I'd definitely just in general be willing to get rid of defense for that. I made a passionate plea to my other league to get rid of defenses and kickers both because we still have kickers. And I've caught 3 L's this year because a kicker went off and I lost by like less than 3. Yeah, it's just those kind of things. I think they just make fantasy like less fun when you lose in that way or you win in that way. It just doesn't even feel like you really did. So I'd rather just start someone really shitty in my flex and get 3 points from them and deserve that 3 points than to like have all these defense options and like have some defense run back a punt return for a touchdown and you end up winning by like 4 points because of a touchdown on your defense.
Yeah. And getting into this jogged my memory. It was because I'm so shallow running back, and before this trade, I was legitimately going to start Tyler Beatty in the matchup against Dallas because he was mentioned in the presser sometime, and like that was I literally had nobody to start, right? And so I was making the desperate, immediate context plea of, hey, like this formatting is stupid. I need, I have all these other players I could flex, why can't I flex these other players, right? And then very surreptitiously, I was listening to a podcast the very next day or maybe the same day, and they were getting into the same topic of how do you structure your league. And they were making the argument that having those 2 running backs or just having the structure in general creates a restriction and therefore starts a lot of trade talks, right? Because and it happened, right? So I've got scarcity at my running back 2 position. So what do? I go out and make a trade, right? And trading is like one of the most fun things we do, and probably introduces the most variance and, skill, right? And again, when I say skill, it's broad, fantasy skills, soft skills, talking skills, negotiation skills, right? So I backed off a lot on that one after having, heard a few more opinions, but I'm there with you on the defense stuff. I'm there with you on the additional flex spot. I think that, flexing a player rather than a DSC, brings a lot more parity to our league. And speaking of parity, the quarterbacks this year, naming off some of the top guys: Daniel Jones, Drake May, Dak Prescott, Baker, the baby maker Mayfield, Justin Herbert, and Patty Ice. We have Josh and Hurts up there, with Jaden and Lamar being injured, and Burrow, even though he's not one of the big 4 going into the preseason. Holy smokes, the QB, back to your draft strategy, right? Not drafting a QB seemed like the way to go, right? And even the old dudes, Aaron and Joe Flacco, and to an extent, Wentz for a few games, right? The 30-somethings or 40-somethings have been putting up numbers. So,
Yeah.
What do you think that says about the state of QB in the fantasy realm right now?
Definitely feels different these last 2 years.
Yeah.
I think it's all encapsulated by last year's Sam Darnold breakout and this year's Daniel Jones. Just the idea that there's almost guaranteed to be these quarterbacks that creep their way up and consistently find a way to give you QB1 numbers. And I think now what you're paying for is just the certainty of knowing you're getting one of those top guys when you get a Hurts or an Allen.
Yeah.
You're not necessarily getting the top one or
Stafford. I forgot Stafford. Stafford's been crushing it.
Oh yeah, exactly. And everyone was it was like he had a disease or something, because everyone was staying away from him, oh, his arm's about to fall off.
His back, right, in the preseason.
Or his back. He had to get a roll or something. Yeah. So it must be a hell of an up throw. But he's doing really well. So I think honestly, before we went into auction, that was my main strategy to get an advantage over people, was waiting on QB, kind of knowing that the variance between the top and the mid to bottom QB1s was not that, maybe that was a little bit more, but those guys to the rest of the field was very small. So it's not a lot of, I guess, justification to go and jump up and, grab one of those 5 through 8 guys, or, something along those lines. I'm trying to think of who was the top 5 when we were drafting, but
Josh Allen, Jalen Hurts, Jaden, and Lamar would have been the top 4, right, with the dual threats. And then with our 6-point scoring format, Burrow probably would have been up there as well. But again, all those guys, injuries, and Jaden's playing well and he's up there. Josh has had his one blow up game, but other than that, he's been pretty average, right, considering the field this year, right? And so a lot of these guys, you could have picked up late, or you just could have not picked up at all, right? I think that got dropped early, right? I know you got Justin for couch change, and again, let's appreciate Evan last week picking up Joe Flacco at the last second and starting him, and then Joe Flacco shoving 23 targets down Jamar Chase's throat last week, and I think he shoved another 17 down this last week, right? So old man, Joe Flacco, and we've seen interviews from him, right, where he's talking about he's just playing for the love of the game, and that he's kind of scared to stop because he doesn't know what he's going to do, because he just is a player, right? And so here's this old man giving everything he has for the love of the game, and he's got that good processor, right? He's not had enough hits to the head that he's not slowed down on that part yet, right? And I think for, since the Burrow injury, we were looking at Cincy as just kind of being a big old goose burger, right? Yeah. Now Jamar's back, right? That elite top 1 to 3 finish, I think, is kind of back in play. And Mr. Wee Higgins is not looking so small anymore, right? I think he had a touchdown this week, if I'm not mistaken. So how do we feel about Joe Flacco and our Cincinnati Bengals?
Oh, man, he's a savior. He's the savior of the team. I was really hoping like Kirk Cousins or somebody like that, So when he was announced, that's kind of like that same, I would say, like tier of old man, high, IQ veteran status. So I feel like now their offense can kind of like function as it was intended to function. I don't know if, obviously not going to be as high upside for the non-Chase guys with Joe Flacco, I don't think, but Chase looks great.
Yeah, agreed. One more kind of retrospective now that we're approaching the halfway mark. Do you have any thoughts on how the draft went just as a whole, right? And I've got here that the red running back dead zone kind of did stay dead this year. It didn't really seem like a ton percolated up like we've seen in past years. And I think that might be a reflection of the shift that we see in the backfields in NFL and more rotational backs being a thing, as opposed to these stud workhorses that we can kind of rely on. And I would say just in general too, that we saw maybe a little bit more hero zero drafting where people going hard at the top, even though we had a flatter top end of the draft this year. And then, as just like a zoomed in topic, against Saquon went ahead and did his thing. But previous to this last week, all those touches made it look like, grabbing that stud, kind of that opposite, point of the last one of the zero and heroes, right? That maybe it's not time to grab, those heroes anymore, right? Because you've invested too much and it's too risky to do that. So do you have any, again, quick overarching thoughts about the draft and maybe the state of the NFL right now?
I think like the things that have really worked out for people who have been successful, like I'm thinking of Thomas, for example, like really drafting players that have some marketability around the league to them, so that when you do talk to people in trades, you're coming from a place where they're already, maybe that player only scored like 3 points or whatever last week, but they know how good that player is and they're excited about it overall. So I think like doing a little bit of that when you're getting into like coin flip scenarios, like should I spend $18 on this guy? Where in the past, like I would take like a Zay Flowers or something, whereas now it's like, okay, Zay Flowers breaks out one week and half the league is like not going to believe it. So
you're
not able to really capitalize on it. So I think like it's kind of the difference.
Name recognition.
Yeah, name recognition and like that repeatability, like the guys who are good year in and year out. Because they don't have that negative like stank on them around the league. I
hear you. I think the stink factor is a big one, and you helped clarify a point that I was looking for, and I appreciate that take. We're going to keep moving on to field or fuck it here, Jay. We're doing great on time, so if we just keep this nice and tight. Jackson Dart was on full display this last week. Feel it or fuck it?
Feel it, 100%.
The Giants playing prevent defenses is Dable trying not to get fired. Feel it or fuck it?
I say fuck it. I think he feels good now that Dart's broken out, and I feel like he feels.
And we got our answer to this one, but Troy Franklin is breaking out in the second half of the year.
Feel
it. Cam Ward, a dynasty buy low.
Fuck it.
Running game schemes taking longer to develop, i.e. the Bears. Implementing a new scheme. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Bad question. Sorry, Jay. Jordan Whittington will always be fool's gold.
Feel it.
Kimere Dike, a dynasty buy low.
Feel it.
Love it. Pat Freiermuth, is he just getting started?
Fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it. The Brown stats were not a good indicator of Flacco's current ability.
I actually definitely feel that. Jerry Jeudy 100% shows you how. Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, that's a good point. Jamar Chase is going to finish with 120 catches and 1,300 yards as a top wide receiver.
Feel it.
Jordan Addison and Devontae Smith are the same wide receiver.
Oh, it's tough. I actually say fuck it. I think Devontae is more talented, but
All right.
Addison's
Would you?
so, yeah.
Yeah. Would you train Cortland Sutton for Jordan Addison straight up?
Feel it.
Jaden Daniels has been found out.
Fuck it.
Yeah. Spencer Rattler can turn into a starting caliber quarterback.
Fuck it.
Yeah. Tajay Spears will never become a lead back in the league.
Fuck it. Never's a strong word.
Yeah. Kyle Monangai deserves more touches.
Feel it.
Colston Loveland is a dynasty disappointment.
You know what? I say fuck it because now he's on a high volume offense, and you got a tight end. I think down the road he could be pretty solid.
Yep. And these last two ones are kind of perfect. Daniel Jones and Tyler Warren will continue their hot streak.
Feel it.
And Chargers are living, breathing proof that franchise epigenetics are a real thing.
Feel it. Yeah.
All right. Well, we did get that Vikings mouthwash to purge us from getting just ran, bent over a barrel by the Colts. So I think that, again, in that time window, these guys were still looking at us getting rolled over by the Colts. And us rolling over by the Vikings is a good sign for us. And just 2 words, Joe Alt. And with that, welcome to Space Time. The topic to wrap us up, and let's just take a quick second. Jay, thanks for coming on. It did take a little to wrangle you on here, but I appreciate the hour out of your life. You are one of the fellow double dads in the league, and that is no small task unto itself. So I appreciate you being on here and giving us the time and helping us to conclude the series. As a small show note, I am definitely going to be taking at least a 1 to 2 week sabbatical to go and try and complete some of the data project stuff and some of the other content that's backlogged. But I'm 100% coming back for the playoffs and making sure that I interview somebody that's live there. And then other than that, haven't figured anything out yet. So if you guys have any good ideas about what I should be doing about this interim schedule, hit me up. And on that note, AI is probably one of the places I'm really looking to for inspiration. When I say AI, whether it be personal applications, professional applications, or whether we're just talking about the broad strokes about how it's going to change our lives. AI, Jason, what does it mean to you?
I feel like personally, I don't have a lot of routine experience with AI stuff, but obviously it's out there and so many more things now. It's kind of like the new .com boom, or with everybody kind of trying to invest a piece in this AI or that AI. Yeah, I will say I definitely am scared of.
Yeah.
I think that there are a lot of really bad intentions with AI. So I'm grateful, for all the quality of life upgrades it can give us.
Yeah.
And if we had a way to guarantee that that's all that would come of it, then I would be all for that. But considering the world is ran on money, and all you have to do is convince a bunch of billionaires that something's worth tens of billions of dollars. I do kind of feel like it's a little bit of a bubble, and it's being used to basically describe anything that's complex now that doesn't use manual entry. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I'm with you on the bubble part. I think that the economics of it, with NVIDIA having the market cap that it has, and NVIDIA has so much goddamn money that it doesn't know what to do with it. So it's like spinning up contracts and discounting and paying other people to buy their chips, right? It just sounds like the most circuitous, backwards, bubble thing that you can possibly think of, right? And the buzzword, the mother of all buzzwords, right? I can't think of a bigger buzzword in our lifetime, right? The internet was definitely up there, social media, all these kind of things, right? But AI just has this humongous momentum that just runs things over, because I think maybe just kind of baked into the name of it, right? Like intelligence, right? You know, maybe it kind of starts poking at what makes us us, right? We think that we're the most, you know, intelligent thing on the block, but you know, it used to be, right? Like one of my favorite examples of my own ego with my intellect was Graham and I were playing ball one day in front of his house, and you know, get some shots up, and I was, you know, just given the right side of that 7-foot rim hell, uh, you know, emulating Shaq to the best of my ability, and a now extinct job of the door-to-door encyclopedia salesman walks by, and part of their sales pitch is to say, hey, you know, like pick a random fact, right? And then I'll go and find it, and then you tell me what that fact is, and then you don't know what it is, of course, right? Because you don't know, you know, anything. And the way that you would find that information is in the Wikipedia, right? Turns out that they asked a chemistry question, and like, yeah, I'm like, I was a chemistry nerd, so I ended up knowing the answer. But the idea that you could go out and find information, even in high school, was kind of like a novel concept, right? And now that the internet has just squashed that 100%, right? And AI has just absolutely annihilated that whole thing, right? Because you can pop up any chatbot and just ask any general question, and it'll get you pretty close to that answer, you know? And so that idea that, you know, it used to be a thing, right? Like, oh, when I was a kid, I would just memorize facts, and that was my way of being cool, right? Nowadays, you would look like an absolute idiot, right? Like, what are you doing? Like, there's an AI sitting over there that you can ask every question you would ever want, right? And so I think that it does kind of like face us up to some of these fundamental things that make us who we are, and asks us to change the way that we interact with them. So I get the fear part. You know, I think that anytime you take a big chunk of who we are and change it, it's going to be big. And I think you said you use it in your work a little bit. Do you have anything to say on that?
I think it's just like I use Salesforce every day, and that's
Okay.
I think AI is integrated into that for some of the things that we do.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, anything to make things more efficient and like help us at what we do. I think that's really like where the value is, at least for me.
Yeah.
Like not efficient, but like to just not waste time on unnecessary things
Right.
and to get right to the point so we can focus on the more important stuff. I like that aspect of it. My fear is that we're gonna turn into like a society that like individuals themselves don't know anything or don't have any like actual real knowledge, because we get into those it's kind of like with driving. Like I think about it like I don't have to worry about backing up because I have a backup camera now.
Yeah.
And I feel like that with AI, you know, that factor of like not having to make that extra effort to like turn around and make sure things are clear is like a false sense of security. Whereas like
Sure.
I think sometimes like learning something and studying something and getting to know something really does help you learn it like long term.
Yeah.
So I feel like kind of where I would pivot is like for the stuff that doesn't matter to know, like the pointless stuff that's just random knowledge that's in your head one day and like out of your head the next day. I feel like that's where AI can really like pick up the load. But when it comes to like really learning like the foundations of something, I really just hope that it's not used in place of learning, and that it's used as like a tool to help our learning become like more in depth and like advanced, and just kind of like bring more give it more opportunity to like bring other elements to it. Because I do fear us, like especially on the artistic side, like losing our creativity and our ability to like critically think. And I think already given in this time with the lack of critical thinking that's going on and misinformation that's out there, I think AI could amplify that and make it very dangerous. So I think it's, you know, it's like I want to see where it goes, but I really am like hoping it'll go towards the direction you're saying, you know, where it'll just help us make everything better. So yeah, that's kind of, I guess, where I'm at.
No, yeah, and again, I'm with you a lot, right? Like, again, I mean, I'm just going to say what I want to say. I think that it's going to get worse before it's going to get better, right? I don't think that we've seen, the misinformation reach its peak yet, right? One of the things that we just experienced recently was Mel's mom almost had some of her information hacked because she was talking to some AI agent, right? And it was able to like respond accordingly, with some information that made it seem like it was real, right? And then I just started a new job, and so I was going through like all like the new job training stuff, and one of them was like internet safety, right? And almost all of it, like 90% of it, was on AI stuff now, right? So they're almost like all the traditional stuff, like don't worry about that, right? It's the AI stuff you have to worry about. And I know of at least one story where somebody's mom got a phone call where they had captured enough of the daughter's voice and spoofed the daughter's voice to calling the mom asking for money to bail her out of jail, right? And just like, I like thinking about that stuff because like I'm selfishly like, okay, when I'm 70 years old, what's the technology that's going to get me, right? Is it going to be like some android that looks like my daughter that comes up to me and like asks me for money, and I'm like, wait, like, and then my daughter Chloe's like, oh, Dad, you got to look at the red eyes. That's how you tell the difference, and I'm just like, it doesn't even occur to me to to look at the red eyes or whatever. But like that idea of like having AI agents out there that are of approaching or similar like intelligence out there, especially in the internet, right? That you just don't have that ability to differentiate about now, right? Is like a kind of a scary thing to think about. And that idea that like I had a tough, again, had a lot of good times and a lot of really bad times on the early internet, like when I was growing up with like middle school, high school and stuff. And one of the ones that was really difficult for me was like interacting with people anonymously, because people are keyboard warriors, right? And we'll just say a whole bunch of shit no matter what, right? Because there's zero consequences, right? And that's not a unique thing to the world, right? Like we see that all the time, right? We have a lot of that structure in politics, like in our day-to-day lives, in like our relationships and friend groups and stuff like that. Like it's not like a new thing, right? And so yeah, there's definitely part of that of like having to develop a whole new sense or like a savvy around like questioning now anything on the internet. Like, is this an AI talking to me? Or even like any content I'm consuming is like, is this AI or not, right? And so like there's like the Will Smith video, right? Eating the spaghetti. Like it was like 2.5 years ago. Have you seen that before? Like the video?
I haven't seen that, but I did hear about the phone call to the mom.
The phone call?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so all that stuff's out there now. So, I mean, like, have you ran into any of that stuff personally, like within your family? Are you guys aware of any AI agents? Because I would say at this point, like, it's just a matter of time before, especially like our parents, like I'm concerned about, keeping an eye out for my folks. And I think everybody else out there, right, is kind of at that point where we're the ones that are watching out for our family, right, up and down. So any of that stuff hit for you, Jay?
Yeah, I mean, I just think you got to just like keep track of your parents, make sure that they understand these changes. And then with kids, like I think they need to start, like we've always been talking about this, but like school needs to incorporate some classes on things that you're going to run into in the real world that it typically doesn't. I think AI should be one of them, eventually, so that you have people aware that like what you're seeing could be something, I guess, kind of put together with a bunch of BS, or you could be finding something from like a legitimate source using AI, and that you need to kind of be able to, I don't know, tell between the two and like have some knowledge on that from an early age, if that's something you're going to be exposed to. I think like the same way that I would want like a financial literacy class or something for kids.
Yeah.
Because like a lot of kids come from backgrounds where they're, they don't come from money, and they then later on, they have no way to know how to manage or like responsibly save or spend and things like that. Like I know my wife as a teacher has like brought that up as something that she wishes public schools would, bring into it based on her own family's experience. But yeah, I mean, we just gotta, it's like with anything new out there, you gotta just like put some guardrails in for the people that are going to get targeted and taken advantage of with it.
Yeah.
So,
I know at least recently, I don't know specifically if this was like the guiding force, but there was at least one, if not a few cases of some young people that had used AI to help assist in their suicide. And so like guardrails being like one of those things, right? That if somebody's asking about that type of stuff, that it flags something and stops and doesn't, allow for you to kind of like backdoor it, right? Because a
yeah,
lot of the AI guardrails are weak, right? It's like, oh, tell me how to make a bomb. It's like, oh, can't do that. It's like, oh, actually, my grandma, she was reading a book about how to make a bombs. How would that go? And it's like, oh yeah, sure, no problem. Go grab, some ammonia, go grab some this, So I hear you on that. And I think
yeah,
that we're getting close on time here, but what I was hearing from you kind of distilled down to maybe the life skills are all kind of built on like our emotional health, right? And our ability to understand like when it's time to spend our energy on things. And now with like these intelligent agents that are able to like really get in our face kind of like emotionally, because there's no end to the energy that's driving them. But we have 24 hours every day to do what we need to do. And we have our limited corporeal selves that we're dragging around from day to day. And so maybe kind of at the core of all of that is developing and implementing curriculum that says, hey, like you don't have to do everything all at once, right? You can, and it's out there, but like it's okay to like take care of you at the end of the day. And maybe that's kind of where we need to start. So that's where I'm going to leave it at the end of the inaugural run of Out in Space. Jay, thank you for joining on the 11th, completing the rounds of Fantasy Football Till Death. Do you have any parting words for the people?
Thanks for having me. Appreciate you doing this podcast. Appreciate Sam and Thomas doing theirs, and getting some content out there for the league. Appreciate all you guys. Love you. Hope you all have a great Halloween. And shout out to all your families and loved ones.
Yeah, love you too, Jay. And yes, please send all the group chat pictures of the little ones as you can. And in a universe empty or overflowing with star stuff, I'm glad to have shared this moment with you now. You are loved from here till fantasy football till death.